Welcome to this week's edition of the No Script Show, where if you're listening to this in your car, you might want to wind up the windows because I'm going to drop some N-bombs. Welcome to the show, Ruan.
Welcome, N-guy.
N-guy.
Are you really going to be dropping N-bombs? Well, you do always. So
I do always. Like, the thing is, right, it's weird because, I don't want to say it's a black people thing, but let's be honest, it is. Like even my mom, who's 50, 60 years old, I won't reveal her actual age because I like being alive and I love my mother. Even she's like, these niggas done did this dumb stuff. I'm like, I was 60 years old, bruh. 50 years old, 70 years old, who knows? But she's some age, and she's she was actually alive back in the day, and she even drops a few N-bombs every now and then. So you can tell how pervasive it is.
And why not, dude? Don't you feel it gives speech character?
Right, it's like that extra, that little bit of flavor, that little bit of extra,
like some hectic Afrikaans swear words as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't translate that in English because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
You need it there for, it just gives the sentence a little bit of character, and yeah, man, it's good.
Yeah, that's the beauty of living in a country that's multilingual like ours. We have this great even the most gassy black guys will say some Afrikaans slang every now and then, and even the most optiplas worms will say some gassy slang every now and then. So it's really nice to see that cross-pollination occur, at least as far as I'm concerned. It's fun.
Yeah, I think the most common word is footsack.
Yeah.
That's for sure, dude.
Footsack and aish.
Exactly. You see, we are multicultural.
Yeah. I mean, we do share a lot. I mean, whether you call it braai or chisanyama, we do braai a lot of meat. So there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And I'm currently on a diet because this guy needs to lose some weight. But
same.
Dude, I've just been loving meat. When I'm allowed to eat it, I'm just eating it, dude. Man, I swear I'm addicted to meat. I don't think there's been a day in my life that I have not had anything that comes from an animal.
Actually, and again, I've said this before many times. I mean, I've spent a lot of time over in the States. I have family there. We have foreign exchange student groups come over all the time. And, I also have some connects in the UK. And it was not until I actually hung out at a braai with some Americans and one or two Brits that I realized, the Americans sort of pointed out, you guys really eat a lot of red meat. A lot. And they pointed out, one, we eat a lot of red meat, and two, we drink very strong beer, because your average Budweiser there is 3%. And
no idea, I don't drink beer.
And apparently we drink a lot of spirits, namely brandy.
That we do.
Brandy and whiskey. So yeah.
I mean, you've been to the pub.
I have. How are we doing on that live episode from JB's? Are we still on par for that?
Yeah, I reckon we need to do that, but we're going to have to drink while we do the live stream, of course. So
we're going to have to see how shlit-faced I could get while doing an episode.
So just don't tell your employer that you are doing this.
Yes.
You may have some colleagues watching. I don't know. People come across things.
It's funny you should mention that, because, I mean, shout out to my boy Sid. Well, he's moved on to another company now, but he's doing big things out there. I'm proud of him. But it's one of the questions I actually wanted to ask you, that do your friends listen to the show? Because I'm consistently surprised by how many people, my outside of the internet and Twitter friends, actually listen to the show, a lot. Yeah. By the way, shout out to my man Vian. Yeah.
Dude, that's an interesting question. And I haven't asked the question. So if you're a friend of mine, let me know if you listen to the show.
Yeah, it's just it's weird. It's out of nowhere.
And if you don't consider us friends, then delete me. That's all I'm saying.
So you just like to make a clean break. You leave nothing to the imagination.
Exactly, dude. Like, come on, we friends or we're not.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. And
Yeah,
speaking
dude.
of nothing, I'd like to speak about today's first sponsor. Now, boys and girls, I love commerce, and you love commerce. Well, except if you're a commie. Now, the great thing about commerce is that you voluntarily go into exchanges for goods and services. But there's always something that I've always hated about commerce, and that is when you buy stuff, you end up with stuff cluttering your house and your home and everything. Well, now, some brave and innovative company out there has come up with the idea of how to solve that by giving you nothing. I'm talking about, boys and girls, the Nothing Company, a subsidiary of the brilliant Charlatan Group. Do you want to buy stuff and not actually have it clutter your house? The Nothing Company. But if in case your company profile is looking a little low, or your Twitter profile is looking a little low, then you can get a little bit of something in their innovative product, Cloud Cream. The Nothing Company. We're going to take your money, we're going to give you absolutely nothing, or a little bit of cloud. Either way, we got you covered. Look up your Nothing Company subsidiary groups today.
And I just got my Nothing Air today. It is brilliant.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Dude, it's so fresh.
I for one, am just blown away by the absolute bravery and brilliance of this company.
Exactly. They've got balls. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I know that I don't know about you, but I was also pretty skeptical about putting money into the Charlatan Group. But I've seen returns on investment I couldn't have dreamed of before. How about you?
Plenty. I was also very skeptical. You know how these guys are. They just want to take your money and never give you anything back. But literally, I invested this week, and dude, I don't need to work anymore. To be honest, I really don't need to work anymore.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I never thought I'd have a point where I'm like, maybe I'm making too much money, but I'm starting to think that now. I'm honestly starting to think that.
You can never have enough money. All you need to do is keep reinvesting everything you have with Charlatan Group.
I mean, for proof, Charlatan Group saved Cricket Grandpa. Our man Marius Roots was out there looking sad. He was getting extra grey flecks in his hair. Not the distinguished kind, not like the silver streaks that look distinguished. Just the sad, my wife took the kids and I only get to see them every third weekend type of grey flecks. Now he's a silver fox. He's looking happier than ever and he's just over the moon. So if they can make Cricket Grandpa happy, imagine what they can do for your life.
Exactly. I don't think there's anything else we need to say about it, dude. Like, just everything you have, just give it to them. That's our advice. Sound advice.
Yeah, solid.
There's definitely some people that are not investing with them, though.
Oh, yeah?
And that's obviously the ANC government. I mean, if they did, they'd be able to pay wages, but clearly they are not. And they also want to be executioner in deciding whether you can keep your land or not. So yeah, that happened this week. What do you think about that?
Well, go into more detail for the folks. Just expand that a bit more.
Yeah, so basically the ANC does not want the courts to decide on land that needs to be expropriated. They want the government executive to make those decisions. I don't know if anyone knows anything about this, but that is a really bad idea, number one.
But tell them about like the bill and has it like, because I know lots of people were trying to comment on it and
I don't know all about the comments. I mean, a lot of people have commented on it, but we all know that it's of no use because
they're gonna barrel it through anyway.
Just pass what they want to pass, and I'm pretty sure this clause makes the EFF really happy. So they definitely have some power in Parliament, that's for sure.
Yeah, what I'll say on that whole subject, first of all, a quick explanation to our handful of international listeners, both expats and actual international listeners, is that our government wants to create a bill where they can pretty much like with Venezuela, sort of take your land without compensating you, or they can compensate you some amount. Now, this is wrong on a number of levels, obviously, but let's for 1 second pretend that it was somehow okay to take people's land for a thing, the land for whatever reasons. What many people who support this don't realize is that they're talking about property as in the legal definition of property. So that means not just your farm, your house, your car, what the fuck ever. They can take that shit, nigga. Like, they can take it. So
and they won't have the courts involved either.
Yeah.
That's effectively what they're trying to do. That is one hell of a dictatorship.
And this sounds
who
marvelous
makes
to the far leftists, obviously, because then they're like, because again, this goes back to the sort of far leftist worldview that, and okay, I had this conversation with somebody who is very much a hardcore liberal, like fucking hardcore liberal, like they believe that Donald Trump is Hitler and the Antichrist and Satan all rolled into one type thing, and they said to me, you know, like. They said to me, don't you feel like capitalism is exploiting you when you go to work? I'm like, no, I get to choose who I work for. I get to choose how I work, and I get to keep well, in theory. I know a lot of people are like, no, you don't actually get to, blah, blah, blah. The point is, in theory, I get to keep all that shit, choose where I go, choose how I work and all that. It's not exploitive. And they said to me...
And choose how to spend your money.
Exactly. And they said to... Well, I'm glad you brought that up. They said to me, well, if you buy stuff, don't you feel kind of cheated? And I'm like, no, because if I sell you a burger or you sell me a burger, if Rowan sells me a burger, he values the dollar or the rand that I'm giving him more than everything that went into creating that burger. And I value that burger more than the rand or the dollar or whatever that I'm giving him for that burger. So from both our perspectives, we win. But in this far leftist worldview, it has to be that somebody's being cheated. Like if there's three people in a room and two of them have $10 and one has $50, they genuinely believe the guy with $50 somehow cheated everyone to get that $50. It can't possibly be that they provided goods or services that made those people's lives better. And that's what this whole expropriation, it lines up with that far leftist worldview that it's like, if there's any inequality, we must level it. Like somebody cheats. No, there's no greater sort of, for me, from a scientific standpoint, entropy notwithstanding, there's no greater sort of rebuke to far leftist ideology than the entire universe is unequal. Okay, there's greater concentrations of like nature itself is not naturally perfectly equal. There's not a perfectly equal concentration of things here. If we decide to do certain things, like Jordan Peterson says, some people are going to be better at it than others, and they're going to naturally succeed more than others, and it's just a fact of life, guys.
And I feel like we shouldn't even need to be explaining this.
Yeah.
It just, it makes no sense. But effectively with this bill, with these amendments, it's really to amend the Constitution. However, the amendments don't tell us in what cases they can expropriate land. I think they left a clause in there that basically says new legislation will be written for the conditions under which...
I even hate calling it land expropriation. Let's call it what it is, property expropriation. Because the wording in there is your property.
It's property theft, actually. That is really what it is. It's taking something you've paid for, you've worked for, and the government just taking it from you. Not even ordered by a judge, but by the government's executive. No, that makes no sense. And I don't know much law, and I haven't seen anyone really comment on how viable this is to put in the constitution, and if it means that other parts of the constitution will, you know, be contradictory to it. So that should also be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So for the law people out there, maybe you should let us know, what does the law say about these kind of decisions being made by the executive as opposed to courts? That should be interesting to hear.
This is why I kind of sort of envy the American system in that, you know, they have the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch, and they can sort of all vie for power and counter each other. Like we don't have anything like that. We're just fucked straight out.
Yeah, we one government state. That's for sure. The ANC don't need the other political parties. Obviously, to make amendments to the constitution, they do. But for most things, they don't need. You know, if we're one party state, what they decide goes, and that's scary because they only have what 52% of the vote. Yet they get to decide everyone's fate, which is not how the American judicial or even how their politics work. So,
Yeah.
and that won't change here in South Africa because it's too lucrative. Why would the ANC want to change something like that in politics anyway?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about the whole countering each other and branches thing, and I was wondering, I'm not a huge fan of communists, as everyone knows, but I consistently wish that Chris Hani was still alive, because I'm of the view that if Chris Hani was still alive, then the SACP would be its own woman instead of just being the ANC's side chick. And that would, at the very least, would fucking leech away votes from the ANC, which I think is always a great thing.
Yeah, and you probably wouldn't have communists telling America one American, one bullet. So, yeah.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. There was a protest there outside there was like 15.
Yeah, like 15 people from the SACP.
Huge showing, guys. Huge showing. Great. Like, you really, like, Donnie from Queens is shaking in his boots because 15 people did the two-step shuffle outside the American embassy in South Africa. Like, really?
And one thing we've learned is, especially this year and the start of this year, is you don't fuck with the American embassy.
No, you do not. No, you do not.
But basically, they were protesting. Initially, the report said they were protesting because of the declaration of war from America on Iran. And everyone was like, dude, there is no declaration of war at all. What are you talking about?
Zero.
But they still went to go do the protest, of course. But yeah, there were like 15 people there. I don't know. And if they think
like the
they
saddest
have
protest ever. It's the protest version of the Area 51 raid. Like 15 people. Like, yeah, okay.
Dude, they are so insignificant. It's not even like a mosquito that's buzzing around your head at night. Like,
I saw people tweeting like, "Oh no, people are protesting." I'm like, "People, that's like 50. That's like one overloaded taxi. Who gives a shit?"
yeah, exactly. And I don't know, do they really think America's going to listen to them with their 15 people there? And especially coming from communists who America despise.
Rightly so.
Yeah, you're getting nowhere. You just wasted time and money and fuel.
Yeah.
And you made an ass of yourselves. But you do that anyway, so
yeah, that was,
doesn't matter.
That was pretty fucking sad on their part. I was just like, okay, guys. But yeah, let's talk about some Twitter stuff we've seen this week. Anything on Twitter you want to discuss, Bud?
Only
I've seen some wholesome stuff on Twitter, but I think you got some...
the bullshit statement from the Citizen on oily deep fried man.
Daniel deep fried man.
We didn't call him Daniel
Friedman.
Oily deep fried man.
Oily deep fried man. Daniel Friedman. He's like I don't know why, because apparently he has a wife and kids, which is evidence that, you know...
Really?
He apparently is married, as so far as I know. I'm not going to drag out any further details because I'm not a scummy piece of shit, but he is married, as far as I know, or I've heard, and has a kid, which is, you know, evidence if you think of, like, the man of your dreams hard enough, then you can ejaculate into a woman, Daniel. So well done. It's evidence that anyone can get a wife and kids. It's just like when I look at Daniel Friedman, I feel like if date rape was a person, it's that creepy motherfucker.
He does have that creepy look, eh? He does look quite creepy. And yeah, dude, like, I don't know. The thing that irritates me about that statement they made, they particularly said in the statement that they value freedom of expression. Obviously as some sort of defense for Daniel. And rightfully so. I value freedom of expression as well. But you can't say that you, as a news organization, value freedom of expression, but then hate on people that are, expressing their own opinion, and then telling them it's wrong. So you can debate someone's ideas, but if you look at most of Daniel's articles, it's all bullshit. You can't say this. You're a racist. You're this. You're that. Fine and well, but then don't pull the same card when, you're under fire. And as an organization, don't say you value it when you clearly don't, and you've let him get away with a lot of shit for so long, affecting other people.
Yeah, so on the whole freedom of expression thing, I agree with you. I'm pro freedom of expression. Like, there are people like fucking Laura Loomer and this A Wife with a Purpose account, which I just hate. But no, I don't hate them, but I just think they're scummy and I don't like them. But I don't think Laura Loomer should have been banned from Twitter. I don't think anyone should have been banned from Twitter. Let me put it to you that way. I'm the kind of free speech advocate that I've been called the K word, which is the N word to our equivalent in South Africa, more times than I care to count. And I'm like, you know what? Fine, fuck it. Let's not make that an illegal utterance to say. Just let everybody know what an absolute jackass you are, and then nobody will associate with you. Like, let society sort itself out. Sort of like let the free market sort itself out. Let society sort itself out, and let the jackasses be cut off, from friends and family. Like eventually people will not want to hang with that person type thing. So let Daniel say what he wants. Where I draw the line is, and again, I know I've been censored on a certain podcast for a certain person's show saying certain sexually suggestive things, but I draw the line at and even that I draw the line at calling for violence against somebody. And my thing with Daniel Friedman is that he openly said, we should kill all right-wingers. Go out and kill all the right-wingers. Now, technically, here's a list of people who would include in the right wing, because according to a political compass, myself, Conscious Caracal, Willem Petzer, Don Barnard, there's a lot of people who are technically to the right now, and I guess sort of you. We're not all exactly the same in our beliefs,
No, yeah, dude. And for me, I don't want the guy to get fired. It's stupid. This person should be able to say what they want to say, but then they should also afford other people that privilege.
Exactly.
And that's all I'm saying.
I reckon as a company, as much as I dislike what somebody may be saying, like one of my employees, if somebody tags me and says this is one of your employees saying it, as long as what they're saying isn't illegal or calling for violence, I'm not sacking them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's that simple. And in any case, I think he did tweet it in his personal capacity, which is fine. Like, journalists should have their own opinions. You can't.
Exactly.
There's no one on earth that doesn't have their own opinions, right? And people should be able to express their opinions. And I think it's wrong that they say, well, journalists should be held to a different standard on their opinions.
Why?
No, I don't think so. I think they should be able to say what they want to say.
Okay, you and I are both IT guys. We should be held to a different standard. Like our shit should never crash or break or have viruses or like what? No.
No. Like, no. Let the guy say what he wants to say. He's a dickhead. We know he's a dickhead.
Let him talk. I enjoy that. I'm like, yes, keep it. It's kind of like Donald Trump in the Squad. The Squad is the best recruiters for Donald Trump, in my opinion. Let them keep being he wants them on. Let them keep being fucking ballistic crazy.
Yeah, because you're just showing people who you are, and that's fine. We want to know who you are, and people are going to gravitate to you if they like you, and people are going to not if they don't. So, yeah, simple.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think it's just, yeah, the whole thing was just like, and I will say, Quentin, aka psychologist, shout out to my man Quentin. He put a whole thread there, talking about how it's easier to see people on the other side as monsters rather than people, because it's easier to deal with them that way. And while he supports that, something is happening to him, to Friedman, he had certain reservations about him being suspended and all that shit, And I agree with Quentin, man. Speaking of which, Quentin, if you hear this, bud, you got to get back on the show, man. You got to interview with us since your hiatus. Seeing as I basically betrayed everyone and told them that I never cared about anything except bringing you back to Twitter. That was my whole series arc. That was my whole point. Like,
yeah, it's good to have him back in the Twitter realm. I mean, I do see him chatting on some of the groups that I'm on, but it's good to be back on Twitter, dude.
Yeah, and also, was it at Jadenator1, seeing as
yeah, what is the story there? I hear someone needs to interview someone. What's the problem here?
Yeah, we were tagged in that, and she was tagged in the Renegade
Jade
report.
Firstly. Because I thought you were supposed to have a bri with Jade at one point.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's start there.
Let's start from the beginning. Let's know from the beginning.
Let's start with Martin, okay, who apparently tagged me in some fucking poll. It's like, should Wotan go to Jadenator's bri? And I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. I was like, oh, this is fun. I retweeted the poll and all that, and I thought it was like a fun sort of joke type thing. I was like, okay, cool, this is fun, retweet that. And then like a whole bunch of people started voting on it. And I'm like, oh, shit. And it's like, Wotan must go and bring wine. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is not going to end the way you guys want it to end.
And then how did it end? You never went to the bra.
I've yet to go to a bri. And no, I haven't slid in her DMs, if you guys are asking.
Okay, so then that brings us to...
What, DMs?
Well, so that happened, and then someone says you need to now interview her.
Yeah, a mate of mine at Kurt's Ghost, he says I should interview her. I'm like, you know what, fine. I retweeted it and liked it. I was like, cool. So yeah, if you're listening to the show or whatever, like, yeah, we can do it. We can interview you, make a thing out of it.
Okay, so the Twitter romance continues.
It's not a Twitter romance. Stop turning Twitter into Tinder, dude. I have, like, no.
It just seems like you guys have this weird Twitter relationship. Even though it's not directly, it doesn't seem directly, but it looks like some people are trying to force it.
They are. It's weird because it's funny because there's a certain subset of girls on Twitter that people try to link me to. I'm like, there's absolutely nothing going on there. And it's funny because I made a poll the other day, and it was something about, I can't remember what it was, but one of the alternate options was, can we see Wotan's DMs? And that was the second
Right.
most highly voted thing. I'm like, wow, okay. What do you think is in my DMs, guys? Like,
Sponsorship requests from Charlatan Group and Nothing Company.
yeah.
That's for sure. Probably that's about it, I'm guessing.
Let me put it to you this way. A gentleman never tells. So, ladies,
Yes.
whoever of you are in my DMs, I will never, ever, 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 ever tell. You know? So, that's that.
Even the ones that didn't respond.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm looking at you, Island Bay. No, I'm kidding. Astrid. No, I'm kidding, Astrid. No, I'm kidding. There's nothing. I'm kidding, guys. It's called a joke. We used to tell these things before things got way too serious on the internet. Yeah. So that was a thing on Twitter, and then my favorite thing on Twitter was Conscious Caracal tweeted out. Was it somebody? We need to bring back the 1920s dress aesthetic. And then he tweeted that gif of Thanos getting the Infinity Gauntlet, and he's like, fine,
Yeah.
I'll do it myself. He's like, Wotan, fine, I'll do it myself. Because, yes, I have been dressing more to a 1920s motif, because that's what I've decided to dress as now. Since we're back in the roaring 20s, I decided, fuck it, I'm going to dress more in style with the 1920s. So that's my thing now.
You have your own style anyway. We all know that.
This is very, very, very true.
I don't think I've ever seen you without a suit jacket.
I'm a very classy man.
It's not always classy when you're in the pool with a suit jacket.
This is true, but I try to be classy.
Yeah, okay. You have your own style, let's just put it that way. And if you want to bring the 20s back, you're welcome to. You're probably going to be the only one in them. And that's fine. You can do you, dude. So
Speaking
Conscious...
of doing you, let's talk about a certain wedding venue in South Africa.
Yes.
Do you want to go in on this one first, or should I?
I think you should. I only got a whiff of the story yesterday, actually. And I know it's been in the news.
What was the... Fuck, I can't remember its name now.
I also can't remember it. But essentially...
There is a wedding venue in the Western Cape.
Yeah. I know it's a wedding venue. They didn't want to marry a lesbian couple, right?
Because they claim to be a Christian based facility, basically. And
whether Christian or not, it goes against their morals and beliefs.
exactly.
Right?
So my take on this was actually encapsulated by three of the guys at Podlatik. So Mr. Maritz and my boy Conscious Caracal, and then of course the OG Daniel Young Flacco Earloff. That's spelled YUNGFLACKO. Put some damn respect on the man's name. If you do not put respect on the man's name, I'm going to slap the shit out of you. And they all made great points, three great points in that. Firstly, you can let the market sort it out, you know.
Naturally.
Secondly, it's sort of like it's sort of a thing where how do I put this? The Christian community doesn't much support itself in that when somebody says I'm doing this because it's against, or not doing this because it's against or for my Christian principles, you don't see a lot of, at least in South Africa, a lot of Christian outreach backing them up on that.
Yeah.
And the third point, and I guess maybe this is the most important, and also I can't remember whether it was Young Flock or Conscious that made this point, is that imagine this was a Hindu wedding venue, or imagine this was a Muslim wedding venue, and they said, no, we're not going to do it because we're Hindu or Muslim or whatever. and it's against our principle. Nobody would have a damn fucking problem with it. I guarantee you, nobody would have a problem with it. But because it's a Christian venue, then suddenly it's like, oh, now it's a problem. And I kind of agree with them on all three of those points. Let the market sort it out. Two, Christians, it's on the Christian community's sort of it's incumbent on them to sort of support each other and be like, yeah, we support this. And three, again, nobody would give a damn if a Muslim venue said, no, we're not going to marry these two girls. By the way, what the one is actually pretty hot, just a side note, but
yeah, look, dude, for me it's really simple, right? And that is, if you don't believe in what I'm, or you don't morally agree with me and my partner, I don't think it's worth spending my money with your facility anyway, right? Why would you want to fund a facility that don't actually want to do business with you? So now it's fine and well, now you're suing these guys, because I think they're suing them at the moment. And that's fine, but so ultimately, do you actually want to give them money to have your wedding there,
and again,
knowing that you're funding them?
Would they sue a Muslim venue that didn't want to marry them? Would they sue a Muslim venue that didn't want to marry them?
Yeah, dude, and that's the beauty of the free market, is that willing buyer and willing seller.
Exactly. No, my anger comes from, would they sue a Muslim venue that didn't want to marry them? I doubt it.
I don't know. I can't comment on that because I'm not sure.
I don't think they would. I think the thing with the whole leftist thing is that they're not going to go... It's in vogue to go after Christians. Like, I don't think they would have sued a Muslim or Hindu venue that didn't want to marry them. I don't... Like, I maybe... Guys, seriously, send me any articles or tweet at me any articles of venues that got sued, but, like... Nobody's persecuted. I mean, nobody's saying Hindus, you're jackasses for not marrying gay girls. Like, I don't see that happening. But also your point that, why would you give them money? Like,
why would you willingly want to do that? Why not give it to a facility that?
I mean, I'll extrapolate it to a personal point. I've dated outside of my racial group a lot. I've been with Indian girls, Japanese girls. She was half Japanese, half white. So I'm going to pick it as Japanese. Chinese girls, American girls, what the fuck ever, guys. If I went to a venue and they said, oh, we're not going to marry you because your partner is, let's say, Irish or Japanese or whatever, I'll be like, cool, I'm just going to go on to the next venue.
Exactly. Easy. Because why would you want to be there?
Like, people tend to forget how powerful market forces are. They really are.
Yeah, dude. And you know what?
And do you want to know what really helped end women getting out of the kitchen? It was World War II and realizing, oh, great, we have a whole other half of the workforce that could be in the workforce that we're just like losing because we have this weird sort of It wasn't because we suddenly got work. It's because we realized, oh shit, it makes economic sense for to have a whole double of the workforce.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, if they are successful with their lawsuit, you basically being forced to do business with someone that you don't want to do business with, if you look at it from the lodger's side or the facility side. Like, it just makes no sense. If they don't want you there, go somewhere else. It's that simple. It's really that simple. It's
not the only wedding venue in the Western Cape, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And the Western Cape's pretty gay friendly, so I'm sure you could find a billion other venues.
Not just that. This comes up like how often every year? Maybe once a year we hear about it.
And you know what pissed me off about this? What pissed me off about this is that it made CNN news. Not farm murders, not kids falling
Yeah,
into
but that's
fucking
CNN.
pit toilets. Not the horrific rape rate. Not the horrific murder rate. Not the rate at which illegal guns are leaked from police stores to criminals. No, none of those things made CNN news. But you know what makes CNN news? This cute little lesbian couple can't get married where they want to get married. CNN, I would like to give you the biggest fuck you possible and invite you to engorge yourself on my big black cock, you fucking hypocrites.
They also called old Joe Rogan a racist, and what did they call him?
Joe Rogan, of all people, like,
Yeah,
really?
because you know that Joe Rogan kind of endorsed Bernie Sanders. I don't know if you heard
I know
the
he
story.
did, sort of, and it's weird. And I don't endorse Bernie Sanders, but Joe, if you want to, fine. You do.
Yeah,
you,
he's
bro.
allowed
You're
to
the
do
biggest
whatever
podcast on
whatever the
planet
hell he
Earth.
wants. But then Bernie pulled the endorsement because he had like some sort of political ad, and then he kind of pulled that, part of the ad where Joe Rogan was endorsing him because CNN put out an article to say that Bernie Sanders shouldn't have a racist bigot something 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 on his political ads. Like, really? You know that Joe Rogan has a bigger audience than CNN?
Yeah.
I don't think they realize that.
I don't think they realize it either.
Dude, it's just ridiculous. Joe Rogan, of all people. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy is endorsing a communist, socialist, and you're calling... It's just like the Bernie Sanders story we spoke about last week.
Oh,
You
he's
know?
like,
It's like you have to kind of defend this guy,
yeah, we have
who we would never defend ever in our lives. And CNN is so bad that it's making us defend him.
guys, we're defending a septuagenarian, I believe that's the term in English, septuagenarian socialist. Like,
Yeah.
please stop this. I don't want to defend this guy. Please stop this. But Elizabeth Warren is just so much of a snake. Like, it's just...
I don't know, dude. Like they're just eating themselves, from the inside. But who cares? We'll see what happens in the elections later this year. But
And I think now is the perfect time to cross over to our American affairs desk with US Wotan and US Run, who will be in the States later this year. So what's going on in the States, my bud?
all I know is that Donald Trump stopped for some firemen who were saluting him and shake their hands, and the whole world is very upset about it.
Okay, so a couple of things in Trump news. Donnie from Queens got to meet Patrice Motsepe, and people were mad about it.
We didn't speak about that either. Yes,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah, Patrice Motsepe dropped a fun little pitch to Donnie from Queens, and half of Twitter erupted yay, and other half of Twitter erupted no. And my only comment is the phrase "he does not speak for all of us" cuts both ways, guys.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Hey, isn't it funny, dude? Like, they can use those type of phrases, but yeah, it cuts both ways. It does cut both ways. And I think there are genuinely a lot of people in Africa that have respect for Trump. Whether they like him, whether people like him or not, people are going to have respect for someone that's so well known anywhere in the world, number one. Number two, Patrice knows that it is good for us to have good relationships with the US. Just like the Lana Marx interview this week. So, like,
smooth transition.
yeah, but no, I'm just saying.
I got flamed on Twitter this week for pointing out that maybe dunking on her isn't actually going to stop the next farm murder. Like,
Yeah, and
or fix the economy or stop corruption. I get that you're pissed. I genuinely do, and I'm saying this from, like, I'm not somebody who has no skin in the game. Okay, I've had family members We have a farm, and my mom's been chased on the farm until they realized she was black. I've had family members murdered in ways that are fucking horrific. So it's not that I have no skin in the game. It's just that I don't think that dunking on somebody who has the potential to help you is the best long-term strategy. I get that it's like, let's abstract it away from Lana Marx. Let's say you're a policeman, an off-duty policeman, and you've been told that this area is fine and everything's good, and you sort of stroll by and you're like, hey, it looks great, and then you happen upon a house where somebody's been stabbed, somebody's been raped, somebody's dying, and they've all been robbed and it's on fire. And the first thing they do is swear at you profusely and throw rocks at you. How likely are you to want to help that person?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think both incidents go hand in hand. On the one side, we in Davos, and it's in our best interest to woo the American president. So, whether you're upset about it or not, the right thing to do is to woo the American president. The same thing with Lana Marx. The right thing for her to do is have good relationships with our current government. It's a no-brainer. She has to be diplomatic. She has
to.
It's her job.
Even if she knows the truth, even if she knows the truth, she can't sit on TV and be like, "Fuck Cyril, fuck you." Like, no, she can't do that.
And then want
She's
to go
not Donald Trump.
negotiate.
She doesn't have that luxury.
And then want to go negotiate with the ANC on Monday morning, and they'll be like, "Bitch, what?" It's understandable. I just thought my personal opinion on her interview was it was actually just a waste of time. They shouldn't have had that interview anyway. It meant nothing. There was no point to it. Nothing was said. Nothing was given. Nothing was taken. So, why have the interview in the first place? It's just a nothing show. And people go on about it, oh, she didn't say this, she didn't say that, or she said this, she said that. She said nothing. Go look at the interview. She actually said nothing about anything.
I did actually look at the interview. I'm like, so it's a bunch of nothing.
That's exactly what it is.
And people were like, oh, look at her interview. She praised SA. I'm like, yeah.
It's
the
her
same
job.
people who are pissed at her for praising SA are like, no, Donald Trump's only praising Kim Jong-il to appease him, but it's part of his 4D Hungry Hippos underwater chess plan. I'm like, okay, so when it's Donnie from Queens, then it's advanced tactics, but when it's one of his deployments, then it's just, they're shit. Oh, fuck them. Like, really?
Yeah, dude. I really don't know how to take how some people got so upset about that. Guys, get over it. She can't do it. She has to be diplomatic. It's her job.
Okay, so I my opinion on her is that either she genuinely doesn't know, in which case, again, we should educate with a kind but firm hand, or she does know and she's being fucking diplomatic. Or it's also possible that she's just being fucking,
not giving anything away,
pleasantries and being an asshole, but doesn't really care and she knows the truth. In all three sort of scenarios, being a cunt to her on Twitter isn't a great long-term sort of strategy.
Yeah, totally agree. She's got work to do here, and it probably is in the best interest of South Africans, the work that she does here. So, get over it. Yes, also, farm murder is a big thing. That's something that I feel very strongly about it.
As do I.
But she's not here just
and I don't know of a single
murders.
farm murder that's been stopped by a spicy tweet to Lana Marx.
But
I don't know of a single one. If there is, guys, seriously, tweet it at me and show me how it stopped a farm murder. Really, please do.
She was not placed here, as an ambassador to focus on farm murders. That's not her job. Her job is to have good relationships with our government so that she can negotiate stuff between the US and South Africa. If you think her job is to focus on farm murders, then I think you don't know what an ambassador should be doing.
Yeah, agree.
And I agree that those kind of factors play part in the things that they do and the things that they negotiate. But she's not going to solve farm murders. She's also probably not going to do anything about it except say, well, maybe at the negotiating table, that is something that concerns the US. So yeah. Anyway, I'm actually tired of this topic. We shouldn't be talking about it because it just pisses me off that people get upset at an ambassador being diplomatic.
It shows. Yeah. Let's move on from that. Yeah, so let's move on to another topic I want to discuss, which is let's talk about the impeachment trials proceedings in the US.
I have not been following it, but you should be able to give us an update.
Hold on, let's switch over to our US Wotan desk. Thanks, South African Wotan. I'm US Wotan. No, I'm kidding, guys. So basically, it got to a point where I think the highest ratings for the impeachment trials were 11 million people watching at any time out of a population of 350 million. This went on the whole day. So if 11 million people tune in out of 350 million over the whole day, that's not, it's not terrible, but it's not a great rating.
Considering as well, I think in the last election, there were over 120 million votes, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
so, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so to be clear, the charges are obstruction of Congress and abuse of power. So I'm going to go at, first of all, obstruction of Congress, which is not an actual crime. Obstruction of Congress, obstruction of court, of the Supreme Justices is a crime. Obstruction of Congress isn't a thing, guys. Obstruction of Congress is because Congress subpoenaed him to subpoenaed some shit, and he's like, I challenge that subpoena. Let me point this out to you guys. If you are subpoenaed in the US sort of legal system, you can challenge a subpoena to appear somewhere. Like you can, whether it's Donald Trump or Jim from New York or Perry from fucking Missouri, it doesn't matter. Any American citizen can challenge a subpoena. And obstructing Congress isn't a thing. Now, going to sort of abuse of power. Abuse of power is incredibly nebulous. One could argue that Obama, with his drone war, was abuse of power. Obama, with actually literally tapping Trump Tower to get intelligence on his political rival, was also abuse of power. One could argue, and I'm not just going to go at the Democrats, one could argue that George Bush and his expansion of his mandate for his war in the Middle East was also abuse of power. Like, you need a solid definition for abuse of power because the last 5 presidents technically committed abuse of power. So both of his fucking charges were abuse of power and obstruction of, like, none of them are actual crimes, but fine, whatever. Okay, fine. So we go to the Senate, and the House is technically, guys, supposed to gather all the evidence. Like you're a lawyer, like you've got all this evidence, and like
they like the prosecution.
Yeah,
they pretty much the prosecution. Yeah,
exactly. I charged them with this, except the Democrat House is like, yeah, we need to call more witnesses to get evidence and blah blah blah. And like, but didn't you just say you have all the evidence? And they're like, no, but we want you to do the investigation and sort of bring more evidence to the Republicans in the Senate. And they're like, it's the House's duty to do this. And again, by the way, a lot of Republicans voted to acquit Bill Clinton in the Senate for his whole impeachment trial. So, by the way, guys, and no, really, they did. I think he actually got acquitted because enough Republicans voted to, Anyway, so they've got this whole situation where, like, oh, we want more witnesses, we want more evidence, and they're like, that was the whole point of the House procedures, to gather more evidence, and they want to drag this out. And then they're dissing on Mitch McConnell, who's like, well, here are the rules. By the way, the Senate is allowed to set its own rules for prosecution. Mitch McConnell's rules that he set out are almost identical to the rules for the prosecution of Bill Clinton. So if if you think that Mitch McConnell, who, by the way, could be a partisan hack, but isn't being a partisan hack in this situation, it's being a partisan hack, he's not, because he's using the same rules that we use for Bill Clinton. So again, guys, like, I just...
Yeah, it makes no sense, dude. Like, we all know this is just a ploy to try and, affect the next election or not having partake in the next election, when there are real legitimate things to go against him on, right? And I think the worst thing is to have a impeachment at this year is the fact that there's an election. If you don't like him, beat him. The election is this year, you can beat him. Why do you need to get him impeached? I mean, for one, Donald Trump said that he would eliminate America's debt, which was 19 trillion, in 8 years. But he's actually soared the national debt to 23 or 24 trillion dollars. Like, that's a legitimate thing to go against him on. Dude, you said you're going to do this. You've done nothing for it. In fact, we're worse off than when you started your presidency. So, yeah, I don't know. They just, dude, it's all just smoke and mirrors. Like, they don't even, I don't even think they know what they're doing. They just trying anything and everything to not go against him in the next election.
Well, Adam Schiff openly said we cannot wait for this to go to the next election. We have to stop him now, or because we cannot believe that the next election's results will be legitimate. So they're basically saying that if a Republican wins, it's not legit. And again, guys, we are saying this like I'm fairly libertarian. Like, I would love for it to be a libertarian versus Republican sort of run. Yeah, when somebody says we cannot wait for the election, it's the hardest telegraph ever. That, like, we don't think we can beat him at the polls.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're saying. That's exactly what they're saying. And I don't think they can beat him. If they do, then wow. But I don't think that's happening. Case in point with the fact that he got out out of his armored vehicle today to shake hands with some of the firefighters. Like, and everyone's having a hissy fit that these firefighters wanted to shake his hand. He's actually a president of the people. People like him.
He is. Like, honestly, I've been to the States for enough times to know. Like, do you know why Donald Trump wins? Because everyone outside of New York and LA loves him.
Yeah.
Seriously, ask the auto worker in Detroit. Ask the farmer in Iowa. Ask the farmer in Kansas. Ask the miner in Wisconsin. Like, ask somebody in Wisconsin. Like, they fucking love this guy. You know why? Because he's the first president in the ages that A, doesn't pretend that they don't exist, and B, actually acknowledges them as part of the United States.
And I think what other people also need to realize is majority of people are actually not interested in politics. You know, they're not looking at what's happening, in the political realm. So, like when CNN is doing their things, CNN has like the lowest ratings of all the major news.
The most trusted name in news, except you're not that trusted, CNN.
Yeah, and like hardly anyone's watching them. I think Fox News does like triple the viewership than what CNN does. And
while we're speaking on this and American politics, can we speak on, because I think it's a subject that affects you and I both, the Virginia gun rally?
Yes, please, because that's something we need, right?
Well, yes. So if any of you are GOSA members or sort of pro-gun people, I'm hearing whispers of a certain gun rights rally that may happen this year in South Africa. I am not endorsing, to be clear, I am not endorsing any form of violence. I am not endorsing any sort of rebellion. I am simply saying I've heard rumors of us marching to government buildings at some point in this year in the style of Virginia. But let's talk about the Virginia gun rally.
Yeah, I thought it was a whole bunch of white supremacists and right-wingers that went to that rally. Or at least the news told me that.
Yeah, and the pictures.
Well, damn, I think someone made a tweet like if the Black Panthers arranged...
The Black fucking Panthers showed up to that rally,
Exactly,
guys.
and someone made a tweet, yeah, well, if the Black Panthers had arranged a Second Amendment rally, right-wingers would be going nuts about it and saying they're racist and they don't deserve guns. Meanwhile, they were there, or everyone was there. From like there were even Antifa people there. And it just shows you how strongly Americans feel for their Second Amendment rights, dude. Like,
I think the First and Second Amendment, and also what amendment banned slavery. I can't remember, but those are the most important, and also allowing women to vote. Those are the most important amendments in American history. Is it the 14th Amendment? I believe banned slavery. Anyway, the point is, I think an armed society is an incredibly polite society. I would love for... I mean, I was thinking about it now because I went to my mom's house for like Sunday lunch today, and I was thinking about, let's be honest, you and I obviously concealed carry most of the time.
I don't leave my house without my firearm.
So, and I don't know about you, Ron. Have you ever gone crazy and just shot some people? I don't know.
I've never needed to use my firearm. Never, not even once.
Exactly.
Although I've shot around 6,000 rounds through them, through my firearm, but never outside of a gun range.
Exactly. So, it's weird, and people think like the gun community is sort of these old white racist guys, but go to one GOSA event. Go to one GOSA event.
Just go to their Facebook page, dude. Just go to their Facebook page and see the people that are posting.
By the way, shout out to GOSA. Seriously, if any of you guys are listening, like we'd be happy to have you guys on our podcast. Seriously.
Yeah, and if there is going to be some sort of rally or march, please can we do one in Pretoria?
Yeah.
And even if we do one in Pretoria and in Cape Town, I just think there'll probably be a lot more traction in Pretoria than in Cape Town.
I believe so, yeah. So the gun rally was in Virginia, which is one of the most armed states in the United States of America. And Governor Ralph Northam, you may know that name. It may sound familiar. It's the guy who was in a photo where he said it was one guy in blackface and one guy in a Klan's costume, and he said, no, that wasn't me. And then he said, one of them might be me. It doesn't matter who you were in that picture, dude. Really, it doesn't.
And that's the thing that is the funniest, dude. Like, most people don't do that shit anyway. Like, and even if they do, it's not out of hate.
Okay, so my thing is, I genuinely don't care if you do blackface. I'm just like, whatever, I don't care. Because, there's this one brilliant comedian by the name of Coconut Kells who just does the most brilliant Santon white girl accent. And she's just, yeah.
Dude, and that's the thing. Like, I don't care if you wear blackface or whatever you do. Okay.
Exactly.
If it's just in jest, like, and that's what most of these things are. But the funniest thing is that most of the people that are talking against it are the people that have actually done it. So why is it always like Justin Trudeau who speaks out against it, but multiple times has done it? Same with the old what's his name with this protest. Like, you're the guys speaking against it, but you are the people that are actually doing it.
Exactly. I stick to a rule that all comedy is okay or none of it is okay, which means there's going to be a bunch of comedy that offends me personally, but I'm not going to enact laws against it. As the libertarian that I am, I don't believe in legislating my morality to you.
You could find comedy not funny, even though it is comedy, like Trevor Noah.
Yeah. He used to be hilarious, though.
Yeah, he used to be. I don't find him funny anymore.
He's
But I
as
mean,
funny
he's
as Deep Fried Man. He just has the advantage of being slightly brown, and so he got a contract at Comedy Central. And I think that's why Deep Fried Man is pissed, because he's as funny as Trevor Noah, but he doesn't have enough of a tan to get onto Comedy Central. That's the real reason Deep Fried Man is pissed.
he uses that as an excuse as to why he is where he is. So, and that's fine. You can do what you want, old oily man. But
Not the fact that he's extremely unfunny and that he looks like, if you looked up in a dictionary, date rape was a person, it's Deep Fried Man. But again,
yeah. Old Ricky Gervais is now one of those comedians that are hilarious.
shout out to Ricky Gervais, shout out to Dave Chappelle. Like, wow,
Yeah, Dave Chappelle, even Russell
Res-
Brand, dude. Like Russell Brand also doesn't give a shit.
yeah, like the resurrection of comedy. Like, and maybe it's because the frat right has taken over the show, but like, I think that all things should be okay to be kidded by. Like, let's
course.
all make jokes.
Of course. And whatever it's about. I don't care whether it's about
It
religion,
might hurt you
skin color.
personally, dude. I'm willing to take that occasional thing that hurts me personally to live in a world where I can say whatever I want.
But the funny thing is, generally, these comedians, what they are saying, they're saying it as a joke, number one. Number two, the reason it hurts is because sometimes there's some truth to it. And that is very difficult for people to, internalize. And they're like, somewhere that is hitting a spot that shouldn't be hitting, right? And if that is happening to you, maybe you should rethink why you're getting upset about something. And if it is true, maybe there's something you should change about yourself so that you're not that kind of stereotype, or, if it offends you. Dude, comedians are generally hilarious, and the funniest jokes are generally the ones that really offend me because there's some truth to it. So, yeah, people got to get over it, dude. Seriously, they just got to get over it.
100% agree, bro. Oh shit, we're getting to the end of the segment. So let's discuss a bit of tech, if you have any tech to discuss.
I think the only big news is that the US have pulled that rule that made it difficult for American companies to sell Huawei products.
Already?
Yeah, so that's been... Well, the Pentagon objected to the rule, apparently. So it looks like whatever happened there is going to be reversed. And maybe it's also got to do with some new trade deals that obviously Donald Trump has with China.
Okay. Well, my topic is not so much tech related as always, and it's kind of tech related.
It's not the logo for the new Space Force.
Okay, firstly, I didn't discuss that, but that's awesome.
Did you look at it yet? Have you seen it?
It's awesome. So Donald Trump made Star Trek real, but not lame, because I'm a Star Wars person, and he made Star Trek real, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I sent you the logo, and
I'm looking at it on Discord.
it looks very familiar.
And yet it will not load, but I know it's the same. It's the same. It's almost the same thing as the Star Trek logo.
Yeah,
Basically.
it's pretty much the Star Trek logo, just a bit nicer.
Oh, there we go. So, would you join Space Force for a free US citizenship?
Of course.
Bro, I would. Like,
Of
just be
course.
like tech guys in the Space Force, and then you, for like a year or two, and then you get free US citizen. I would, like, fuck yeah.
100%, dude. But I think the logo is pretty cool. Um, yeah, I guess that is probably where war is going to go to next. I mean, most of these ballistic missiles and so on actually
Space
go
is the
into
ultimate high
space.
ground, guys.
Yeah,
Let's
I
be
mean,
realistic.
but
Space is the ultimate.
they do shoot these rockets into space and let it come down somewhere on Earth. So it makes sense to have a space
If you have
force.
total coverage of low Earth orbit, and you're like, cool, you can fire intercontinental ballistic missiles. We've got total space coverage. Cool, we're gonna fry that thing before it lands.
Exactly. So I think this was going to come one or other time anyway. Just because the US now have a department for it doesn't mean that they haven't been doing anything in that space, and doesn't mean other countries haven't been either. So it's just really giving it a name now.
Well, part of me is glad because it sort of feels like beyond nuclear war, we've sort of passed what I and most other people consider to be a great filter. You know, there's a great filter theory on why we don't see other alien civilizations, which is you have to pass a certain set of filters. Like, you have to learn how to access fossil fuels, and you have to learn how to, or even just walk bipedal. By the way, guys, bipedal is the optimum sort of configuration biologically to have the least amount of appendages in contact with the ground while being able to, you know, do other stuff. And so that's why we can sort of assume a lot of aliens, if there are, we'd meet, would be bipedal. So I'm pretty glad for us passing that sort of that sort of great filter, that we're not destroying ourselves with nuclear war, despite Donnie from Queens being in charge, and and
Yeah.
I'm really glad for this. So yeah, I'm really hyped about this. My tech topic is actually not as tech related as yours,
Okay.
but it is that Jeff Bezos threw a bitchin' mansion party at his new DC mansion with his new girlfriend. Fuck you, Jeff Bezos, you cunt.
And he didn't even invite us. What a
Like, what a
bastard.
cunt. Like, honestly, what a
Jeez,
cunt.
like,
Like sorry, I'm sorry, ladies. What a douche. What a douche.
yeah, he is a douche. But on that same topic is that it came out this week in any case that his girlfriend was the one that shared compromising texts with her brother, who then sold it to news organizations. So yeah, I don't know how much he trusts her. Also, she's not that good looking, it doesn't seem.
Like, I would hit Mackenzie before I hit the girlfriend.
What is the girlfriend's name? I'm not even sure, but
I don't even
Lauren,
care. Like, I wouldn't
Lauren,
even Google it. That's how little I care. I wouldn't
her
even
name,
Google
her
it.
name is Lauren Sanchez.
Look at Mackenzie. Tell me you wouldn't hit that if you were Jeff Bezos.
I would, dude, but okay, the new wife just looks like she's had plenty plastic surgery, or the new girlfriend. Yeah, his ex-wife is a lot better looking.
Here's the
Um,
thing. Okay, guys, here's my total argument against sort of plastic surgery and makeup. Like, you're gonna have to wake up to her without her makeup. And as hot as she is with plastic surgery, that's not natural. So when you make kids with her, they're not gonna look like she looks with that plastic surgery. That's like, genetics doesn't care about plastic surgery. Just throwing that out there.
yeah, and then actually talking about hot girls that we love to hate. Um, your your girlfriend Gabart is suing Hillary Clinton for $50 million.
Okay, she's the bae. She's the sort of bae. Um, I have a number of, as you know, a number of United States love interests.
Yeah, and I
Places
think
like Hawaii and New York, and
Stefan Molyneux will also be very happy if you
yes,
give her
let's do it.
children.
Let's do Stefan Eggman Molyneux.
Because he seems very interested in her having kids as well. So maybe there's some
Okay,
mutual
not
ground
just
you
her.
and him
Like,
can
let's.
stand
I
on.
know this is longer than a normal episode we do, but that's what we do on the No Script Show. We just give you that extra bit of length so that when you're stuck in traffic or sort of cleaning your house or what the fuck ever you're doing, like you get to listen to us. So let's talk about Stefan Eggman Molyneux. Let's start from the beginning.
What about it? He's just gone nuts.
No, I mean start from the beginning in terms of who was like. I was a big fan of Moly Meme.
So
in the
was
beginning.
I. So was I. I was a big fan of him.
Stefan Molyneux. His name isn't Moly Meme. His name is Molyneux. He was a sort of rationalist, sort of Ayn Randist, sort of libertarian economic guy, and he's like, yes, this is awesome. This is great economics, and then he kind of, like many people on the internet, sort of got obsessed with, pandering to who gives you the most views, which is, and I hate using this phrase, alt-right adjacent. He sort of, because it's been abused. It's been, and that's my thing. Like things like the okay. So with the whole left SJW takeover, there's been words that have been devalued when they shouldn't be. Like things like rape, like stair rape, and like fort rape, and alt-right adjacent. Like I genuinely, by the way, guys, as one of the most conservative guys on the podcast, I despise the alt-right. They have far more to do with the far left than they have to do with me. But things have been devalued in words. Things like alt-right adjacent. I'm like, what does that even fucking mean? But I would say Stefan Molyneux has sort of skirted that line with alt-right adjacent. Like, he focuses on facts that certain crowds of people really like. And one of his things is his obsession with women having children at a certain age. Never mind the fact that we have medical fucking technology, you idiot, that allows you to have longer lifespans, higher quality lifespans, and you could have more children, and children at a later age. But take the wheel, run.
Well, some people just don't want to have children. So what does it freaking matter? Like, so he obviously said that Gabart's clock is running out and that she better have children soon. What if she doesn't want to?
Or can't, as my
Or
boy.
can't, yeah, exactly. What if she
hasn't
can't?
pointed, as my boy Inu Wolfie pointed. Shout out to Wolfie, bruh. Like, I love you, man. Like, you're a great guy. The problem with going out with you is that being a Inu Shiba dog, it's really difficult to get into sort of establishments with you and drink with you, because a lot of establishments won't serve dogs, but you're a good guy.
Yeah, dude, like it just irritates me. Stop telling people to have children. If they want to, they would.
A great contrast is you and me. Like, I want to have 5 million fucking kids. I do, really. Ladies, I do. I want to get married and have 5 million fucking kids. That's just my thing. Will I ever shit on somebody who doesn't want to get married or doesn't want to have 5 million kids? No. And that's why I'm so against Stefan Moly meme.
Yeah, dude, like, I don't want to have kids. And we are friends. Wow. That's amazing. I wonder if old Stefan has any friends that don't have kids. It must be exhausting being his friend. Imagine getting those texts every morning. Listen, have you thought about having kids yet?
Bruh.
Your clock's running out. Just letting you know. Like,
Bruh,
is
can you
he? I
imagine
wonder if
that?
he's like that in real life. Like outside of Twitter. Do you
He's the
think?
world's greatest married incel. I
Do
keep
you
calling
think
him that. Because
he
he
would
is
do that?
married and he has a kid. I'm like, how are you tweeting this if you have a wife and kids? Like,
Dude, I don't know. The guy's just gone nuts. I don't know. The last
because
like two
originally
years, I would say the last 2 years is he's just gone nuts.
his focus was economics, sort of bottom right quadrant economics, that sort of Mises Institute sort of, like, that was his focus. And then he sort of, like so many other YouTube channels, locally and internationally, like, oh, the way I get more views is talking about, like, fucking weird pseudoscience, white might, whatever bullshit. Like, I'm just like, okay, fine, whatever, guys. Like, do that shit.
Also, sorry, I know that this episode's long, but we didn't even say anything about the coronavirus.
Let's get into that, actually.
All I know is that it's some sort of flu, and people are dying at a higher percentage than normal flu. And I think normal flu is like 0.2% of people die, and with this, it's like 5% of people are dying, which is quite big.
Okay, so, yeah, that's a big Asian growth margin. So the coronavirus. So my comment on the coronavirus is that I saw a couple of tweets from people that I like. And guys, if you're listening to this, guys and girls, if you're those people that I like and you happen to hear this, take it with a pinch of salt. I saw a lot of them sort of being like, oh, it's disgusting that Chinese people eat bats and whatever and all that shit. And not to sound like a full-on fucking leftist cultural Marxist, but yeah, you've been indoctrinated with what is acceptable to eat in your culture.
Exactly.
And,
I totally
I'll
agree
get
with
to
that.
the whole virology point in a second, but you've been indoctrinated in what is okay to eat in your culture. I mean, cheval, I believe it's pronounced cheval, is basically horse meat. The French love it. Veal, chaining up little cow babies, calves, so that their muscles don't get too strong, so that the meat is super tender. That is fucking horrific and cruel to me. Foie gras, which is the French basically force-feeding geese food until their livers burst and kill them. Fucking horrific to me. There's a delicacy, I can't remember. It's basically this delicacy in Italy where you basically have a cheese maggot, cheese fly lay eggs in the cheese, and it lays its eggs, and you have the maggots eat the cheese up, and it basically it's basically fetid cheese with maggots in it. And how they often enjoy it is by scooping it up and sealing it up in a bag, airtight bag, so there's no more oxygen getting in, so it kills off the maggots, and then you start to scoop that maggot cheese mixture up and you eat it. So my whole point with this tirade is, guys, we have been culturally indoctrinated to decide what is disgusting. Even blue cheese, ranch dressing, the Chinese find disgusting that we would eat fucking fetid cheese. It is disgusting to them. Now, my whole point is, I'm not saying that anything the Chinese do is good. I'm not saying that the coronavirus is okay. My point with this whole fucking tirade is that you need to understand your cultural fucking perspective. If your whole disgust for the coronavirus is that they were stewing bats in stew, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Stop it. And I saw a lot of people doing it from a sort of Christian cultural standpoint, that it's the Bible says pigs and cows and all that is enough. I'm like, okay, look, here's where I disengage with a cultural Christian. I'm like, guys, okay, this is why we get blown out the water every time, because if your basic sort of authoritative stance is the Bible, then you're going to get blown out the water every time. You know why? Because it's called a logical appeal to authority fallacy. the people that you're arguing with at best don't believe with the Bible, or they
Don't care.
they actually hate the Bible. So stop quoting the Bible. Stop using it. And I'm not saying that the Bible isn't a brilliant scriptural piece or anything. I'm just saying don't use it in your arguments or your tweets because you're gonna get blown the fuck out because people don't believe in it. Look at it. Look up a logical an appeal to authority logical fallacy. That's what quoting the Bible is. So stop it, guys. I get it. Cultural indoctrination. We think eating backs is disgusting. Well, I think eating certain parts of cows is delicious from my culture. I know there are some people who don't think that is delicious, or disgusting. But I'm like, yeah, fuck it, it's great, or it's disgusting. So, guys, as far as coronavirus goes, in terms of cultural things, fuck that. But in terms of containing it, then we can discuss things like official numbers, because I'm pretty sure the Chinese government is lying.
Yeah. Well, they say there's an incubation period of 8 to 10 days. So some people may have contracted it today and will only know in a week and a bit. So it's one of those things that can spread quickly. Also, I think everyone knows that any type of virus over time mutates. So it's just something new that's mutating. The difference between this and something like Ebola, this started in a very populated area, like super populated. So the chances of it spreading far is pretty big. And now there are cases in multiple countries. So yeah, it's something you should know about. Keep your hands clean. Frickin' if you've got flu-like symptoms, go to the doctor. That's just, you don't know if you've contracted something.
Yeah, well put,
Easy.
bro.
Easy. I think that's a good way to end the show, talking about viruses and how we're all going to die.
I think it is.
If we are back next week
If
and we don't have the coronavirus.
Well, I mean, Ron and I are going to live forever, but you guys might not. But please tune in to the show next week. And we have a Discord that you can join at noscriptshow.com. And please, if you like the show, please like and subscribe or retweet, whatever platform you listen to it on, because we're not going to ask you to pay for our premium Snapchat because we're not e-girls. We're not going to ask you to subscribe to our premium Snapchat or PayPal or Patreon, whatever, but we are going to ask you to like and subscribe and retweet and tell your friends about it if you enjoy it. And yeah, that's my spiel for the week. Run?
Dude, thank you for the chat. And people out there, yeah, like, share, subscribe, eh? That's the lingo, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, shout out to everyone and everyone on Discord. And yeah, thanks, guys.